Wherever you are. Right. Welcome to Occasionally Posh, where we enjoy life, laughs, and shenanigans. I am your girl, Chassie B.
And I'm Sunshine. Welcome to another week's episode. We have on a special guest, and we're gonna tackle some topics that's probably gonna raise some emotions. But before we let her introduce herself, and before we get started, we always start with a foreplay. And Chassie, I hope you got one this week.
I actually do, but it's not a this or that. It's actually a question.
Okay.
So I know everybody watch Good Times, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So do y'all know what Penny's real name is? Not Janet Jackson, not her real name, but what Penny was short for.
No.
No.
How many of us really know
I
all our family
literally just found
names?
this out today.
Right.
This is true.
We thought Aunt Pookie was Aunt Pookie all our
TikTok,
life.
A girl. I just found that some. I was like, who's that? Real name. But anyway, Penny's real name is Millicent. Penny. That's what Penny came from.
Oh, interesting. Didn't know that.
Okay.
That was interesting.
That's something new today.
Yeah, that's something new. All right. I had a this or that question that I was going to ask, but I got scared. So I'm going to go to another one.
Why are you scared?
Because we ain't ready. Okay. I'm going to ask it,
okay.
but don't answer. Okay. It was, Would you rather be a racist or a homophobic? You see y'all faces.
Yeah, skip over that one.
Whoa.
Y'all should have seen the comments, okay? The comments was rough.
Oh my God.
I should have saved it. I should have sent it to you, Chaz, but they was interesting.
Ooh,
but I was
that
like,
makes my chest hurt.
That. We ain't ready for that. We ain't trying to be shut down. So I'm going to ask a silly one. It says, would you rather sound like a monkey whenever you speak or be totally silent forever?
Sound like a monkey.
Sound like a monkey.
But who would understand you?
I don't know, but they better figure it out because I got to talk. I'm not going to be silent.
I think I had to be silent and just learn sign language. They know sign language anyway, right?
Yeah. Majority of them do, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still going to talk.
Silent. Be out here sounding like they already say some of us is monkeys. We don't need no help, okay?
Right.
We don't need no help. But anywho, Chassie, you can go ahead and introduce the guest.
So I'm gonna keep it short and simple, and I'm gonna let her introduce herself. But me and Sunshine was having a conversation the other week about we wanted to have another Black Lives Matter type of conversation, and she was like, "Do you know anybody?" And at first I was like, "I don't know anybody," and then I got home and I parked my car, and I instantly thought of Danielle. And one of the reasons why I thought of Danielle is because Danielle is biracial, so she gets both sides of it. But I see her like out there in those streets, like fighting for Black rights and all that kind of stuff. And I thought that it would be very interesting to have her on to get her perspective from both sides. So Danielle, you go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell us about yourself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Danielle Davis Short. I am from here, Roxborough, North Carolina. I am an activist here and one of the local community leaders, and I just am for pounding pavement and making sure that people understand that certain things have to change in order to progress forward in today's society.
Right. Yep. That's good. So before we get started in the discussion, me and Chaz, we have been connecting with some new business friends, and they showed us a promo of a video, which I didn't take the whole video. I was just like, "Ooh, I wonder if this is on YouTube," because this one part was really powerful. So before we get started in the conversation, I wanted to share this to open people's mind to what this discussion needs to reflect and what people need to get out of it. So let me share. Can you see it, Chase?
Yes.
Okay, here we go. Ah, shoot. Yeah, I was about to do it. I ain't shut no sound.
Play
All
it
right,
with
here
no
we
audio.
go. All right, here we go.
I want every white person in this room who would be happy to be treated as this society in general treats our citizens, our black citizens. If you, as a white person, would be happy to receive the same treatment that our black citizens do in this society, please stand. You didn't understand the directions. If you white folks want to be treated the way blacks are in this society, stand. Nobody's standing here. That says very plainly that you know what's happening. You know you don't want it for you. I want to know why you're so willing to accept it or to allow it to happen for others.
So, ladies, what you think about that?
I just love her. I mean, she is just, she's one of the people, and I'm not even going to categorize her as white people. She's one of the people that get it. Even though she is a white woman, she identifies the issue of racism here in America. Yeah. Been doing it a long time too.
Yeah, a long time. I agree. I found it interesting. I remember the first time I ever seen that clip, and I was shocked that like not even one person stood up. Like not one person even looked like they even thought about standing up. So that lets you know that people do know that it is a problem. It bothers me that people act like it's not a problem, but then you won't stand up to say that you would want to receive the same treatment that African Americans and Black people get every day. But then those are also the same people that say that it's not a race issue. There's nothing wrong with America, but it obviously is.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. I would be interested to hear how people who say there's not a problem feel about her statement. Because let's be honest, there's some people out there who still feel like it ain't no issue, like that we making it bigger than it is. Right. And this is, or either this is just how the world works. Blase. Go ahead, Danielle. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Absolutely. Oh no, you're fine. Absolutely. That I've heard that a million times. You know, I will never forget. One of the first protests I did was protesting the Confederate statue, and I remember that I went to a meeting here, and the county commissioners meeting, and I remember that this man, one of the protesters, she's in another activist group, but she was out there protesting the statue one night, and this white man came and pulled AK-47 out on her and told her, I advise you to not touch that statue. Now, this situation was brought up in the county commissioners meeting, and they still didn't want to move the statue because guess what? The statue is not a problem. So we went and protested for 13 hours in the heat. It was about this time last year. No, the year before. No, it was last year.
It was last year.
In about 13 hours, we stood in the heat protesting, and that's when they said, well, we have to move the statue because it's a threat to the public, because we're outraged that this memorabilia is still up here that represents the enslavement and oppression of our Black ancestors. So, I was standing at the statue, and I never forget, this white man goes, I said, you're willing to stand here all night and protest us protesting the statue? And he goes, yeah. He said, I'll die for this statue. And it made me kind of think like, wow, what in your mind would make you click that you say, and then he goes, you talk about privilege. I don't have privilege. I was born I was born poor, and he just went in and I said, sir, I said, your privilege has nothing to do with your economic background or stature. You just being born as a white person here in the United States, the color of your skin is privilege. So that just goes to show you that a lot of them don't see a problem. They think we're overreacting. They think that we're causing commotion for no reason. But in actuality, their mind subconsciously blocks out what's going on because they don't want to admit the problem when the problem is in our face every day.
Right.
That's true. So do you think, let me see, how can I word this? So sometimes I feel like some Caucasians or white people actually don't realize their privilege and don't necessarily understand it. And I think this, like, I guess, sometimes I guess they're lucky enough that they haven't been around these types of issues and haven't really had to see it hands on. So I think sometimes, do you think that people just don't want to address the issue, or they just don't know, like they don't understand that they have the privilege?
I think that a lot of people, I think it's both. I think some people don't want to admit that there's a problem because admitting the problem means we have to confront it. And then I think some people subconsciously know, but really don't know. They're like, well, I've never experienced that. Well, I've never experienced a lot of things in my life either. But when people tell me they're going through it,
Right.
I understand, so, me being a person that's biracial, let me just say this, and I had to say this a lot, Chas, you probably heard me say this a lot in my lives as well. I'm not familiar with my father's family at all. My father's family did not accept us being half Black. So I was never raised with white people, if that makes sense. And so I was raised by these very strong Black women that introduced me to so many different things. I'd never forget my grandma telling me that, she had to go in the back of the Kirby when they would go to the theater, they had to go through the back of the steps. And, it kind of would register, me hearing all these things when I was growing up. And so my father, who was, white, I mean, we're not going to get into everything he has in him, but we're just gonna say he's white. And he would, when me and him finally reunited, I noticed that he would say things that was a little bit racist. You get what I'm saying? And it kind of made me like, wait a minute, this is my own dad. He would make those jokes that some white people make towards Black people. And they think it's funny, but we're like, wait a minute, hold on just a minute, okay? You know what I'm saying? And that, it kind of opened my eyes to like, this man has 3 children by a Black woman, and he's not fazed at all by what he's saying. And so that's when it comes to the point. I don't think some of them mean to do it. I think it's, it's just in some of them. Right. It's in some of them from what they've seen, where they're from, backgrounds, things they hear. Because we all know that racism is something that is taught. You're just not born racist. It's something that is embedded in your mind.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely something that some people ignore and some people are just naive and don't get it.
I understand that some people are naive and some people were raised this way, and I totally get it. For me, where I have the trouble is I'm telling you wrong, and now you're using it as an excuse to not want to change. Like sometimes people tell me I say stuff wrong because I don't have no filter a lot of the times. And sometimes I just disagree with somebody, but I try to come to an understanding at least of how they feel. So if I'm telling you what you saying feels this way, how are you acting feel this way, the comments that you make me feel this way, then something within you should want to desire to change. Because then at that point, if I'm telling you, then you know. So now that you know, and you still continue to do the same thing, is being raised really that way really an excuse? That's my problem.
Right, exactly. Oh yeah, absolutely,
Right.
absolutely.
And something that I just found interesting. So my daddy just commented and said he remembers going through the back at the Kirby. A lot of people say that stuff was so long ago that why are we still worried about it? My daddy is in his 50s, you know, and he still
Yeah,
remembers going through the back at the Kirby. So that lets you know, like, this is something that is still relevant. These people are still
absolutely.
alive that went through these things. So I don't know why people think that they're like, oh, that happened so many years ago. It's over with. Why don't y'all get over it?
Mm-hmm.
We can't.
We can't. And the thing about it is, we can't move on from something because the ghost of it haunts us. You see what I'm saying? And to listen to these stories, you know, just like you say, your dad remembers going in the back. You know, my mom is 57 years old. You know, well, she's about to be 57 this year. My mom remembers all that stuff. So when, you know, she was born in the 60s. So when it comes down to it, it's not that long ago.
Right.
And what infuriates me is that when you have the elders tell you, I went through this and that, and I, you know, that they were so glad to get out of that era of segregation and the Jim Crow, and you know, their mothers and mothers were in a time that was so oppressive and so despicable to the history of America. So for them to have to relive that, it may not be our people in the streets with whips and chains and picking cotton and working in the fields, but my God, it's even worse because they can see it. See,
Right.
slavery and segregation, it was televised, the segregation part, but not everything is seen like it is now. We actually see our people being executed. So can you imagine how traumatizing that is for people that has already lived in an era that they had to endure that segregation and those Jim Crow laws that were back then, where Fountain said colored only, white only, or, you know, if you had to sit in the back of a bus, or you were spit on, you know, or even if you wanted to do sit-ins, you were spit on and hit with things and those type of things. For them to have to relive this again, it's probably 10 times worse because they're actually seeing executions on video. It's in their face. They can see their people being killed. So it's almost, you know, I agree 100% to say you were raised kind of is a cop out because you see this. Why not be the change?
Right.
Why not be the
Exactly.
change?
Exactly.
And I think people think just because we're not being held against our will, we're not being hung up in trees, we're not, you know, being beat because we didn't cut crop, that it's not as bad. So why are we complaining? But at the end of the day, it's all about mistreatment. And still to this day, we are at the bottom of the totem pole when it comes to a lot of things in society. And that's the part that people like to ignore. Because I've hired 3 Black people in a corporation of 100, I ain't racist. No, you just trying to meet your quota. Like, let's be real.
That's right.
So that's the problem. Me, it's like, just because you gave us a little bit, now we should just shut up because we got this little bit. And that's not fair, because if the table was
my
turned,
thing is, why should we have to be given something whenever we're all supposed to be the United States? This is America. We're all people. We all bleed red and blah, all that BS that they spew out whenever we're yelling Black Lives Matter, all lives matter. Why do we even have to be given certain rights that they already got? Why did we have to get those? We had to earn those. We had to fight for those. We had to fight for stuff that y'all already had. But then y'all tell us, well, you got this, so be quiet. Calm down. You're too aggressive.
Yeah.
People.
Black people are not allowed to be upset.
them
being upset or expressing the same rights that white Americans express is a form of terrorism to them. They think that's terrorism, you know, for the longest time here in Roxborough, because you know, we chose to march and we chose to speak things in the streets that were it was rough to hear. We were considered terrorists, and we are expressing our constitutional right to protest. Right. I mean, so it's like, you know, they can protest. You have 20 bikers standing around a freaking statue protesting all night long with their guns and their
Right.
rifles, that we're not going to touch their precious Confederate monument. But the moment that our people peacefully protest, you're calling in police from other departments, you're notifying other counties and cities. It's, I mean, the if people only knew what truly people that stand on those front lines that want to protest, want to make change, what they go through. I mean, it's a mess. It really is a mess. And I never knew. I've been in activism since I was 19. When I lived in Maryland, I was involved in it. And I had stopped because, you know, I'm down here in the quiet South. We accept a lot of things that's going on, you know. We're like, okay. And then, you know, we march for George Floyd with the police. And 2 weeks later, no, about a month later, David gets killed. And it's like, we just marched with you. You know, and you told me this will never happen here. So finally, when people get outraged about what happened, it's like, oh, okay, let's treat Black people aren't allowed to be upset. They can be upset about their statue. Black people are not allowed to be upset about the brutality of police or corruption or executions of our Black men and our women as well, and our children. Okay, Tamir Rice, let's not forget him. I bring him up all the time, you know, and we can't march that because we're considered angry, and we're just gonna tear up stuff.
Right. I agree.
Yeah.
Last night I had joined your live, and one thing I remember you saying was your kids telling you that they was proud of you and they see you out there marching and, you know, standing up for them. I remember last year whenever George Floyd had happened and they had a protest down here, and I remember getting my boys ready to go out there, and everybody is messaging me like, you don't need to go out there, it's going to get violent, and, you know, all this kind of stuff. And I was like, I got to show my kids that even if the world don't have their back, I'm going to have their back. And I want them to be out there and see that other people are going to be standing up for them and marching for them and trying to get rights and stuff for them. And I mean, man, the crazy thing is whenever I got out of my car and I looked in the woods, there were police dressed up like military style in the woods. It's peaceful. It's very calm out there. And you got all these police hidden, just ready to do something crazy.
On top of buildings.
Right. And I was like, that is crazy. But I thought that it was good that, you know, that your kids notice it and they're proud of you. I thought that was very good.
Yeah, because I mean, at the end of the day, that's what I do it for. You know what I mean? And I used to say all the time, you know, if anything ever happens to me, you know what I mean? This is the legacy that we want to leave behind. I'm not going to say that, you know, everything I say or do is perfect and everybody agrees with it. You know, I kind of had a epiphany the other day. You know, back when I was protesting, I was super angry because I was just fed up with what was going on in this town and how many of our people still didn't want to march. They still didn't want to stand up and say enough is enough, you know, whatever. And so I would say things that I think, and I didn't think about it then. I think about it now. It might have offended some of our white counterparts, you know what I mean, who did march with us and who do feel the same way. And so I had to make sure I apologize to them, but understand that it's coming from a place of anger. And it's not personal to you. I'm talking to the ones who are okay with racism. And okay with keeping us racially oppressed. So when my son tells me, Mommy, the kids in school, they just love that you're protesting, and he would brag about that, and he would come home and tell me what they were doing. And you know, I did an interview with my kids one day. I never posted it, but I asked them, what does protest mean to them? And it was set time, and JoJo was 11, enough of what he believes in, and he wants things to change in America. I mean, these are kids that see what's going on. And so, you know, but one thing that struck me was my children were always worried about my safety. Every time I left out the door, my kids were constantly hugging me. And I made sure, that's why I always wanted to keep protests peaceful. People talk about the security we had there. We had security there because we were threatened by the Klan. We were threatened by rednecks. That's the only reason we had security, because we can't have eyes everywhere. But if you notice, when we were marching, we were always marching peacefully. We were shouting in megaphones and talking, but we never wanted to bring violence. We never wanted to do any of that. We just wanted our voices to be heard, because nothing like that has ever happened here in Roxborough. Nobody has ever said enough is enough. Let's stand up. Let's talk about what just happened here, or let's talk about the countless number of Black people who have been illegally searched and seized and locked up and didn't know their rights and things like that. So the children identifying that it made a change in their life really, really motivated me to do that.
Well, I got a question for you, both of you ladies. Do y'all understand why people are afraid to protest?
I do. Probably because of what happened to us. I mean, we were targeted since day one. I was targeted, especially as a leader. I mean, a lot of things that I found out later on down the line, you know, it's pretty disturbing. You know, me being one of the leaders out there marching and trying to make a positive change. They didn't care about that. All they saw was trouble. Here comes trouble. She won't shut up. And so we got arrested. And when we got arrested for failure to obtain a permit to march, you know, it led them into, okay, now we can watch them because now they're quiet. So we think that, I mean, and their mind is so warped that they really think that we want to destroy buildings and we want to blow up stuff. And I'm like, so they're afraid to go to jail. They don't want to go to jail.
I think, I agree. I think some of it is fear, but if I'm being honest, I think 90% of the people that don't want to march are probably scared of what, like you just said. And then I think it's a 10% that are scared, but they are scared to piss off their white friends. Yep. Or to make their white friends think that they don't like them. And I honestly, last year, I saw that way more than what I wanted to see. And it pissed me off because so many people, they would send me messages like, did you see this? And I'm like, yeah, I saw it. Put it on Facebook. Let all your white friends know that you think this is wrong. Why are you hiding behind it? Why do we have to talk about this in Messenger? Let them know that this is fucked up and it needs to be talked about. Why are you scared of them? Why are you scared of what they think? And if they are upset with you, then they don't need to be your friends.
Hello.
Yeah, Vicky says she think that some don't want their coworkers mad at them. I want to go past that though. Like, do you think we're protected? Like, you know, a lot of jobs, especially in my field, they have a clause in there that says if you do anything that makes the company look bad, pretty much. It don't say it like that, but that's what it is. So, so if I go to this protest, and even though I'm not the one that, you know, for example, started a fight or started a riot or started the bad protesting, but I'm front page news and all they're gonna see is that I was there and it looked bad and I get fired and then I don't have no income and now I ain't gonna be out there protesting anyway because I gotta worry about how I'm gonna feed my kids. I feel like some people don't realize that whenever people like, some people are just fearless like y'all, like they can be out there, but a lot of people, they need these jobs. They need that money. They need to support their family. They need to support their kids. So how would you tell somebody who's in that area or in that realm of life how to be active and make a change?
What if everybody felt that way? Then there would never be change. If everybody was scared of losing stuff, there would never be change. Like sometimes you got to face your fears and whenever I went out there, things could have turned left. Whenever Danielle was out there, things could have turned left. I prayed my whole way there that nothing turned left. And I made sure that I stayed back kind of far so that if I needed to get to my car, I get to my car and leave. But if I'm being honest, that job didn't faze me. My kids was more important than that job. Even though I know that job is what's going to feed them, but I want them to be able to run outside and play with their toy gun and not have to worry about getting shot, or being able to reach in their glove department and get out their license and not get shot. You know, like, I got to think about that. That's more important than that job. Picture. Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, the thing about the crazy thing with me is because my job knew from day one. I mean, I would constantly, you know, they knew it was a very small town. You can't, you know, everywhere was a freaking newspaper. I mean, be, you know, a risk, but at the same time, I was looking around and I'm thinking to myself, I mean, what are we doing here? We have to do something. We can't just, and oh my God, the amount of messages and emails of people who are complaining about the police. I mean, and the things that they've encountered. And as one person, you say to yourself, what can I do? I mean, what can I do without? It was very overwhelming. I had so many lives where I just broke down and I was just so overwhelmed at what was going on. And so I knew there was times where I would leave my job and I would leave my job and go straight to protesting. And you know, it rubs some people the wrong way. I found that out later. And that's fine. But I knew it was something, you know, some of us are called to do what we're supposed to do. Right. And you know, like Chastity said, the protest could have went, it could have went either way. I will say this. We never met with aggression. It was always the opposition who did that. And when police show up to a peaceful protest with SWAT and other counties police in SWAT gear, you are trying to meet us with aggression. And we refused. We refused. I mean, all my protests have been peaceful. Did we take over some roads? Yeah. we blocked some streets out one time in front of the Dollar General area. And that's where we were met with SWAT. But why were we met with SWAT? Because only a couple people out there were armed. Okay. North Carolina is an open carry state. That was not a protest that we were at. We were actually at the memorial of David Brooks out there by where he was killed. So we weren't protesting. That is illegal. But when you're met with SWAT and there are children out there, okay, people are bringing their kids to see how Black people can congregate and do something positive. And we're met with SWAT team. It makes no sense to me. You get what I'm saying? So things could have went ugly, but not on our part, because I said since day one, we were peaceful. We wanted peace. Now don't get me wrong, behind closed doors, I'd be cussing up a damn storm saying, I want to do this, I want to do that. People were telling me they wanted to do this and that, but I always made sure on the front lines that nothing went violent, nothing was destroyed, because that solves nothing.
Right.
But besides put our people back behind bars and owe this city more money.
Yeah. I guess that's why I asked that question. I mean, thankfully, I always I try to make sure that I work for a job that's very supportive of what's going on in the world. And my CEO is amazing. I mean, we had Juneteenth off before they even tried to make it a thing here to have it a legal holiday. So they tell you right there that they very supportive. Right. But the point of my question is, I think there's some people out there who do want to help make change. They just don't feel like protesting is doing the job. So what is the bigger picture? What is it that we can do as a community and come together to make bigger change? I mean, protesting, get you in the newspapers, it get people to watch you, it get people to look, but then what? Like, what's the next step?
I think the next step would be, and I wholeheartedly mean this, you know, not all police are bad. It's some really good cops out there that really invest in their communities. You know what I mean? Even here in Roxborough, I'm not going to put down all police, because that's not what I'm about. You know, I'm not going to generalize them how they do our people. However, it's some really good cops out there that really invest in their communities, that really care about protecting and serving. I think the bigger picture would be to mend the gap, to bridge the gap. Us as community leaders and activists out there who kind of have had bad interactions with police, let's sit down and understand each other. I hear you, you hear me. You know, let's talk about why we're so angry and why we say the things we say and why you say the things you say. And I think that will help bridge the gap. Sit down and listen to, you know, I'll never forget, I saw the man that was one of the men that were protesting the statue. I saw him at Dollar General and he told me he'd never forget me. And he gave me a hug. It was a white guy. And me and him had very, like, they were some intense choice words. And so that lets me know that even though we disagree on, you know, something to him is stupid as a statue, it doesn't need to be, to me, it's a big deal. We still can get along. And that's what I mean by Black people don't trust police because, I mean, look what we're seeing. And then they say, well, the media only shows our people being killed. Well, you know, it's not our fault that you don't make a big deal about when police kill white people. You accept that. You know what I mean? You're well, police kill white people every day. Well, then get out there and march about it. I mean, what are we gonna do?
Injustice.
You know what I'm saying? Injustice. So injustice is injustice, period. I tell people all the time, if David Brooks was white, I would have been out there marching for him just as well because of the circumstances of his death. It had nothing to do with him being Black at the time. They made it racial. Okay, they made it racial. When was he Black? Of course. Do I feel like he was targeted? Of course. But I mean, it's when you see something that doesn't look or smell right, you're going to speak on it. You know what I mean? So I think that's the best way to bridge things is to get with the police, even though some of them, I'm pretty sure they hate my guts. You know, some of them are not fond of me, but still sit down and let's talk and let's bridge the gap between our communities. You can really use that to your advantage, to the community leaders here, you know, talk with them. And so we can get that understanding between Black community and police so we can start entrusting our police again. Right now, Black people are scared to death to be pulled over just for a ticket, a ticket. We don't know how it's going to end up. We don't know. So that's why we're abrasive when we get pulled over. That's why we're aggressive. That's why we're fidgety. It's not because we're hiding drugs. We're fidgety because we don't know if we're going to make it home.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? So those are the things that the police have got to stop ignoring. And you could say all day long in the newspaper, oh, we're going to have training no. The best type of training you can have is to sit down with people who are affected by the things in this community and listen to what they have to say, even if it's hard to hear. The biggest thing about being an activist is to be able to accept criticism, to be able to accept the things that you know need to change. I'm not saying everything I've ever said was 100% correct, but there are things that needed to be said. So I'm willing to listen to the police. I respect them as a cop. Being a police officer is not an easy job. I mean, it's a hard job. You know what I mean? And I have friends who are cop. My brother used to be a cop.
Right.
I don't think people get that. Like, he used to be a cop for 8 years in Charleston. So I respect police. However, when you don't allow me to express my constitutional right, but you allow these people to express it and don't see an issue with it, that's our problem.
Right.
And we need to learn how to have that open communication.
Right.
Period.
Right. Well, go ahead, Chase.
No, you go ahead.
I was going to share that thing that we were seeing, but if you got something.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm going to say what I was going to say. So while Danielle was talking, I was thinking about your previous question, Sunshine, when you said, what can the people that don't want to go out there and protest, what could they do? They could be the ones that be the line to the police officers to set up those meetings, to set up those big talks that need to be had, you know, with community leaders and all that kind of stuff. They could be those people that do that type of stuff.
Absolutely. Behind the scenes. Yep.
Yeah, I feel like There's nobody won't. I mean, anything that you in anything that you do in life, you got a group of people. You're gonna have a leader, a nice, positive role model leader, who's gonna be the person who's gonna say the right things, do the right things, et cetera, et cetera. And I think that's why change happened so much back in the day, because we had our Martin Luther Kings and our Malcolm X, even though he was radical, blase, blase. There's not a lot of people who want to take that role anymore. So I feel like, I ain't saying that's the whole issue. Don't get me wrong. We can still do something. But I feel like we're missing that piece of the puzzle. We missing that. Not, I ain't saying Black Lives Matter. Don't come at me. I'm just saying somebody. You know how people feel about Black Lives Matter. Somebody who can lead the head, or a group of people. It ain't gotta be one person, just a group of whoever, Danielle, somebody, anybody who could take charge and show us how to do it in a way that's actually gonna make a difference. I think it's missing from today's society versus back then.
Absolutely.
Like back then they did it because they didn't have no choice. We do have a choice, so we lean on that. I mean, it ain't right, but I ain't a slave. So, you know what I'm saying? Right. Back then they ain't had no choice. So
right. And I do think, you know, and it me and a friend were talking about this a couple months ago. You'd be surprised how you start off with kumbaya when you're protesting, and then you see what you're met with and how it completely mentally transforms you. Mm-hmm. So you're starting off as Martin. I want peace. I want to come in peace. And then you're met with people with AK-47s and Confederate flags rolling down the street. Then you got to turn to Malcolm. I had somebody ask me that not too long ago, and I said, well, I started off as Martin, and then, you know, I was met with complete aggression. So I was very confused. You know, right. I was very confused why we were being met with that. You know, shout out to New Black Panther Party. They were out there as well. And if I'm not mistaken, the family had called them in to protest as well. And I met some really, really interesting, intelligent people in the Black Panther Party. Their views are a little bit different from ours. However, we're on one accord where we want Black people to be treated equally. And so, you know, when I saw that, I was thinking to myself, oh my God, here we are reliving time. We used to see, you know, I remember seeing movies and documentaries about Fred Hampton and the Black Panther Party and things like that. And, you know, my mom always, you know, glorified that. She was always talking about how the programs that they developed and how awesome Black Panthers were. And here we are, right. Come on, somebody. And the Rainbow Coalition, you know, they labeled him as a racist, but he invited everyone to be a part of that. So when I really sat down and talked with these people, they're awesome individuals. You know, some of the things that they, you know, express or believe in, I'm not too familiar with, but I got to know them, and they marched beside us, and they, you know, they talked with us and told us about what, you know, what their goal is to march. And they were out there to protect protesters, believe it or not. They were out there to make sure we were safe. So, you know, it's crazy how we relive time.
Right.
Because we are in the streets again with Black Panthers, you know, after watching all these documentaries, you know, so it comes with the radicalism, you know, some of them are revolutionists. You know, I myself consider myself as a revolutionist. I believe in revolution means change. And so I want change. However, I don't agree with violence. I did at one time where I was thinking, oh my God, if anybody run up on me and this and that, you know, it's hard not to.
Right.
It's hard not to when you're met with some of these people here, because they're crazy.
Yeah.
They slap crazy, child. I'm gonna tell you something.
Well, yeah, I definitely go ahead.
The messages I would get in my inbox and the threats, I mean, they were crazy.
Yeah. The ones that you posted, I could just imagine the ones that you didn't post.
Oh my gosh. And my whole thing is, you know, they're trying to intimidate me. They want me to shut up. You know, I couldn't shut up. I just had to keep going, and it is what it is. You know, you gotta be tough. You gotta have tough skin, because, you know, I got it from both sides. From Black people, I was told I was not Black enough to be speaking up for Black people, and I need to shut up. You know, from my own people. which is colorism, which is something that our community suffers from and has been suffering since the beginning of slavery, you know,
Really?
and it's something that was used to divide slaves back then, and it's even worse now, being you know, as a mulatto. And even
Right.
back then, you know, if you want to be considered a house slave as a privilege, being raped every other night, and you know, having to lay in a bed with a married master. But you know, that's in our mind, it's embedded.
Right.
So I would, you know, I would never forget, I would read comments about me on the news, and the things that people were saying were just god awful about, you know, me being the one of the leaders in this activist group, and how in the world could I speak up for uh any type of rights going on with our people, and I'm this white woman, because I thought I was white. I'm
Right.
white, I don't have no right to say that. And then I get it from the white people, you know, oh, this mixed breed, she up there speaking, she don't know what she want to be. So it was very tough, and it was
Yeah.
very mentally draining.
That was one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on, was because I saw, Sunshine, you go ahead and pull up that thing. But I
Okay.
saw how you was getting slack from both sides. And I, you know, sometimes I would read the stuff and I was like, people are legit crazy. And the thing that bothered me was a lot of Black people that we grew up with, that we went to school with, that we graduated with, they were the ones that was like, you're too light skinned to fight this fight for us. And I was like, what the what does that mean?
That makes no
Like,
sense.
what are you doing? You're not even out there fighting, doing anything, but you're going to say
Nothing.
he's too light skinned to fight the
Yeah.
fight. What, that doesn't make any kind of sense at all whatsoever.
I heard
It
so
don't.
many people say that I would have had more support if I wasn't mixed, or if I, and I'm like, it doesn't matter. I don't care if I'm from Mars. If I'm speaking up for what you're going through, if I
Right.
can feel your pain, if I can see what's happening, and I chose to take a stand, why are you using that against me? I don't understand. But that has been one of our biggest enemies since the beginning of time, is colorism.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We hate on each other. We hate on each other. This black skin, dark skin thing, mixed, mulatto, all of that, what you want to call it, it has been the biggest enemy that has divided us since the beginning of slavery.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's the truth.
Right.
That is the truth.
Right. And at the end of the day, it's gonna take everyone here, no matter what race, color, size, money
Boom.
amount you make. Like, I don't care if it was a Chinese leader out there, bad boy. Wrong is wrong. Like, we all here for the right. Like, it's, come on now. That's the part that I don't get. Like, you got to be certain kind of Black to be protesting. That's stupid. If you think that way, it's never gonna change.
Right.
Yeah, they said something about, you know, in my organization, I have a white lady that's part of my organization, and she is 100% down for the cause. Shout out to April Thornton. And she was one of the protesters that were also arrested. And she believes wholeheartedly in what she says. There's no fear in her. When she get on the front line, she's gonna speak her mind. She's gonna say, you know, just highly intelligent person, knows exactly what she's talking about. And I look at this white lady and I'm thinking to myself, if she can get out there and if she can say those things and understand what's going on here, it's very moving. If you listen to her talk and listen to her see things from a white person's point of view, who's acknowledging the racism and oppression of our people, then you understand that it is some really, really good white people out there. And I make no mistake about it. You don't have to be on them front lines to march with us for me to say that. I honestly, wholeheartedly know it's some awesome white people out there. And they have supported me. They have supported me since day one. But then you always got that bunch who are stuck in the old town way of thinking, you know. Let me we're not going to change anything. Them statues ain't bothering nobody. Blue lives matter, as though that is something that even makes sense. Black people cannot change the pigment of their skin.
Right.
They can't unmelanize, you know what I mean? Unmelanize themselves. They will always be Black. Blue lives, there is no blue life. That's your cop life. You choose that profession.
Right.
You choose to be a cop. Black people don't choose to be Black. They don't choose to be oppressed. They don't choose to be oppressed. So why can't we acknowledge that? You cannot, and I say this and I emphasize this, and I know you got to play your video. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
But I say this all the time. You cannot take a group of people and steal them from their homeland, steal their spirituality, teach them your way of thinking, to introduce them to all these evil things that they know nothing about, and then do it for over 400 years. And then still, we're moving on to the 1900s. We're still segregated. We're just moving out of slavery. We're doing Jim Crow era. You cannot say that we're supposed to move on from that. Over 400 years. I don't think people understand what I'm saying.
Right.
And then now we're just coming across to where we're just recognizing Juneteenth as a freaking holiday.
That part.
And we're just now educating.
But we've been
our
recognizing
people.
Columbus for how long? And he ain't even start. He ain't even find the place.
Nothing. And
he stole it.
He stole it. And we're just now, people are, I guess they're saying they're woke. So they're recognizing that. But you cannot tell a group of people to move on from that. If
Right.
Germany can acknowledge the slaughter of millions of Jews, and that happened within years of time. Okay, we're talking about a whole war here, not 400 years. If they can acknowledge that, if they can give reparations for what happened, if they can cover up Hitler's statue, knock them down, burn them, do all, why can't we as America acknowledge that? And it boggles my mind, because that's how we move forward. Right. Not, we can't move backwards. When we go out, when I go downtown or we're driving past the statues, you're reminding me that that soldier fought for the enslavement of my people. He fought to keep it here. So why?
And he's being glorified.
Come on, somebody. So that's what I've been saying all along. You know, it's crazy to me. It really is.
Yeah, it is. Well, what I had wasn't really a video. It's just a post that one of our listeners sent me. And we tried to have her on, but she wouldn't cause no problems at work. So we thought it'd be a good time. We thought it'd be a good time to share it. But it's just a post, and it's really interesting. And it says, I support my Black friends, but not Black Lives Matter. I support my white friends, but not the KKK. I don't support hate groups. Skin color means nothing. You're either a good person or you're not. So Danielle, I seen you turn your head like this. I'm ready for how you feel about it.
Because I have a serious issue of even putting Black Lives Matter anywhere in a sentence with KKK. KKK is a national terroristic group. They have terrorized and murdered thousands of Black people that some of them we still don't even know they've gotten away with. They've terrorized Black communities. They have are responsible for massacres, and they are known as a terroristic group here in America. Black Lives Matter, regardless of how some people feel about Black Lives Matter, right? You know, some things I agree with, some things I don't. However, I agree with the aspect that Black Lives Matter. Right. So, you know, regardless of what they stand for or who runs it or whatever's going on or what agenda she's trying to push, the fact of the matter is, when people put them in a category of a hate group because they're fighting racism, are some of them violent? I don't know. You know, I don't know.
Right.
Do I think some of them are as they did the same thing with us? Are some people sent there to destroy things, to make it look like Black Lives Matter have done that? Absolutely. To give them a bad name. But at the end of the day, we can't put them in the same category as KKK. KKK is strict. Black Lives Matter. Anybody can be part of Black Lives Matter. You white, Black, Mexican, Indian, whatever you are, you can be part of Black Lives Matter. KKK is strictly white. I am white Aryan, proud to be white. And I don't want to tolerate any mixed race, any race mixing. I don't want to be your friend. I believe in what I believe, and I hate anything that is not of Aryan descent.
And they a whole movement. Like if they own businesses, they wasn't serving Black folk. If they was part of KKK, you better not be seen, you know, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, I agree that skin color means nothing. You a good person or you're not. But let's be real, that's not how the world works.
Right.
And that ain't
I
even
was about
just
to say
against white people against black people and black people against white people. Sometimes we that way against our own people. We see a
Right.
black man that we don't know walking down our neighborhood looking a little suspicious. What we do? Lock the doors, lock the windows.
Right.
Same thing. I do it for a
Like
white
that.
person.
So we all
It don't
do it.
matter.
Like,
I don't care.
I mean,
Because
If I don't know you,
what we do when we be in Walmart or the grocery store, we see a white person walk in with a trench coat. We like, oh,
honey,
right.
honey.
And we
Right,
see
we
somebody
like, oh,
playing
wait a
with a
minute
child a little bit too friendly at the playground, and he raping the child. Like, we all do it. Like,
Right.
so as you
I know,
say this
I'm telling you.
line, don't mean that okay, all things good now. Like,
And we can't say us as black people like we don't stereotype, because we definitely do. I mean,
Right.
we do it. We don't do it on purpose. It's just there.
Right.
You know what I mean? Subconsciously, we're like, I'm like I just said, I could be at Walmart or at the mall or somewhere, and I see it's like 80 degrees out. Why you in here with a trench coat on, sir? And combat boots. So I'm like watching you the whole. I just went to South Point a couple weeks ago with my daughter, and we're sitting down eating, and I see this white guy walk in. He looked crazy, and he had on like this leather coat and these combat boots, and I'm looking like, and he's just wandering. And so I'm looking around like, oh no, sir. We got to get up out of here. Even though he was just probably shopping, but my mind made me stereotype him. So I get it. I never forget, my brother told me, he said, Danielle, us as a cop, we were taught how to profile. I never forgot that he told me that.
Yep.
So that lets me know, like, okay, they're profiling already. I've heard cops say, what are you doing? Me and my husband been pulled over at 4:00 in the morning going down a country road on our way to the mountains, and a cop pulled us over and asked us what were we doing out that time of morning.
It ain't none of your business. I'm grown.
And I'm like, they thought I was a white woman in the car with this black guy,
right?
Not knowing this is my husband. You know what I'm saying? And they were trying to insinuate that we were doing something. Yeah. So we don't mean to stereotype, but we do, and it's just in us.
And anybody who say they don't, they're lying. The truth ain't in them. Okay.
Our stereotyping ain't theirs, though. Let's be clear. Because,
I'll be clear with that. You're right. Mm-hmm. It's a little different.
Our stereotyping.
Right.
Our stereotyping is, and we gonna make a joke about it. Oh, Bobby finna come blow up something because he in here with a trench coat on. Meanwhile, we got the white lady that's in her house seeing a black kid walk down the street. She calls cops on him. That could be his last day here, right? Because he's in the wrong place at the wrong time. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? We're not gonna call police on you. They're basically getting called on because they're black. Yep. See what I'm saying?
Right.
And we can know that black we're
people,
wrong
we
too.
typically just talk about it.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I hate this.
No, go ahead. I was just gonna say we just talk about it and laugh and keep it moving. We don't call the police.
Right. Definitely. Right. That's what I was gonna say. We wrong either way, but we know we wrong in it. Like I can say it and be laughing and joking with you about it, but I'm like, nah, that wasn't right. But black people, but some of them white racist people, they will fight tooth and nail that they was right. I don't care if it was just wrong all day. I was right in it. No matter
Never
what.
apologize. Never apologize for being wrong.
And then use that thing of, do you know how it is to be a cop? Mm-hmm. Do you know how afraid I am? Like, that's your job though. You signed up for it.
Right.
I'm not gonna praise you for choosing your profession. That's what you chose to do.
Right.
Right.
Just like I don't need any praise for being black. That's what the creator chose us to be. You know what I'm saying? So respect is respect. Like I said, there's some good cops out there that really, really bust their ass and do what they're supposed to do and really help their communities. But then there's some that have really sat back and allowed things to happen that I'm just like, you tell us
and have done some really shady stuff.
Yeah, you tell us not all black people are the same. Well, shit, not all cops are the same. But hey, I mean, it's hard to trust them when you see what's going on in our society.
But there's even some black cops that turn a blind eye. So it ain't just white people, it's just cops in general.
Absolutely.
And part of the problem of that is because number one, we don't have the same rights. So I'm gonna get fired 10 times faster than you are. You know, let's just be real. If I say something or do something that the
Mhm.
precinct don't like, I'm gonna get fired way faster than old Bobby Jones who done stole crack money and killed so-and-so and stepped on somebody's neck. They still here 10 years later. Let's be real. So,
Mhm.
so that's number one. And then number two, a lot of times when in our communities, not in our generation, but in our generation before us, we were told to stay in our place and shut up.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yep.
So how do you overcome that?
That's true.
You don't. Because I had so many cops that told me when I was protesting, I agree with you 100%. White and black cops. But then when they got behind closed doors,
Mhm.
it was a whole different story.
Mhm.
You know, they were speaking against it. So either you believe in it or you don't.
Right.
You can't just stick. I don't see how
Right.
people can feel a certain way about something and stand there and do nothing. I mean, I'm not gonna go for that.
Right.
That's like saying I'm pro-life, but you know, or I'm for abortion, you know, whatever I stand for, whatever I agree with. And then, you
You
know,
work at the
I
clinic.
don't go. Yeah, I mean, it makes no sense to me.
Right.
I'm pro-life, but I come in here every day doing, you know what I mean? So it's like, I don't
Mhm.
get that. That will never be me. I will never do
Right.
that.
Yeah. I mean, in some regards, I see both sides of it. I try to be, you know, even across the board because I'm not in their shoes. They're not in mine. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But then again, that's why I said about those leaders. I don't mean that we need more Martin Luther Kings and Malcolm X's, but I do think we need more of us as in powerful positions. We need more of us as in Senate offices. We need more of us being lawyers. We need more of us running for president. Like just because we got one good Barack Obama, that ain't mean, oh, now we fixed. Like it don't work like that. So
Right.
I just
Right.
that's why I mean by leaders. Like I just want us as a generation to start pushing our children to go higher than being, and I ain't saying nothing wrong with being football players and musicians and rappers. I ain't saying nothing wrong with that. But a lot of us don't push for our kids to go higher than that because we feel like, you know, hey, if he just go to college, he
We
did
ain't gonna
something.
push for our kids to go to the NFL. I am so done with the
Hey,
NFL right now.
a lot of
And
families
I'm
do it.
actually gonna bring this up. I'm gonna research this some more, but the NFL is full of shit, especially when it comes to black people and mental illness. When it comes to mental illness and their black players that done retired, I'm gonna touch on it a little bit and then I'm gonna research it and I'm gonna bring up a whole episode of this. But so the NFL is supposed to be paying old players that are currently suffering from some type of mental ill situations that occurred from football. A lot of black players are getting denied the funds that their white players are receiving because the NFL, and I quote, you can look it up, said that black people are not as smart anyway whenever they come into the NFL. And so where their starting level is and where they are currently at is not really that much of a difference than the white players that came in.
Wow.
And this is going on today, right now, at this moment.
And I can honestly believe that.
Wow. Are they doing some mental tests and stuff to make this synopsis, or they just saying that we just dumb?
It's just an assumption. You know, black people are dumb. We're dumb.
Even though we have literally invented half of everything in this country,
That
more
part.
than half.
Probably
Right.
more than that. We just didn't get credit.
More than half, yeah.
Right. Right.
Wow,
But
that's ridiculous.
don't push your kids for the NFL.
Hey, I say push your kids to be whoever they want to be at the end of the day. But, you know, it's a lot of folks out there that want their fast money. You know what I'm saying? They grew up in the hood. They living on the system. And white people always say, well, hey, they black, they can run. So this is what I'm going to tell my child to do so he can bring the bread home. Like, let's just be real. I mean, it don't happen as much now as it did, but it still happens.
Right.
Right. The good thing about it is, you know, back then hitting the NFL or NBA, that's where it was, you know, oh, he gonna be on the basketball team. Now I think we've kind of wisened up a little bit where we expect academic excellence from our kids. Like we want to push them to let's be entrepreneurs, or let's go be a lawyer, or let's go be a doctor, or let's go, you know, let's go get a degree in business or whatever. You know, I see more of that now. People trying to really get their education in. You know, 'cause I tell my son all the time, that's your only ticket out of here is your mind. There's nothing else going to get you out of here but your mind.
Yeah.
Yep.
She must have got a phone call. Yeah, I agree with that to an extent. I do feel like we over push them when it comes to going to college too, though. 'Cause let's be real, some kids just ain't meant to go to college. I feel like my oldest is probably one of them. Okay, and I told him real quick, don't go there, waste my money. You ain't gonna be like me with 60,000 in student loans and unhappy or didn't finish. Okay, so. But at the end of the day, I just feel like we need to let them dream big, I guess is my point. Like, I think a lot of us, and not just Black people, a lot of us is just so focused on what's happening now. So Lord, if he make it out of middle school, he gonna be all right. Like, let's be bigger than that. Right. Let's go bigger than middle school, bigger than high school, bigger than college. What they gonna do in adult life? They gonna have kids, wives. Let's work on their mindset. That's the problem.
Right.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Yep. Amen.
And I ain't saying it's easy. Honey, talking to my son like talking to the wall sometimes. I ain't sitting here saying it's easy. Honey.
Okay. My son's sitting up here in summer school right now. I tell you, my mama is born.
Mine too.
I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you, sir. They knew better than to sing yet. Let y'all sit at home with me and virtual learning. They knew better than that. Look, I'm suffering anxiety from virtual learning from these kids going to school. So when he tell me he bored from going to summer school, well, baby, I don't know what to tell you. You gonna learn today.
Literally.
Exactly. Getting up out of here.
Literally, you gonna learn today.
Oh man. Well, this discussion has been amazing. It's already been an hour, surprisingly.
Oh wow.
Really fast.
Right. It's been over an hour.
Do you have any closing questions, Chaz?
No, I just want to thank you for coming on. We're gonna have to have you again because you're very interesting. So thank you. And tell people, if you want people to find you, you can tell them how to find you. If you don't worry about it. If you got some great projects coming up that you want to talk about, you can let us know about that.
Okay, so if you guys want to find me, I am at Danielle Short on Facebook. You can also email me at davisdanielle215@gmail.com if you guys have any questions or anything like that. I am expecting in a couple months, so I've been kind of like taking it easy and kind of like, just sitting back and observing. But I do have some projects coming up. One of them being a memoir that I will be emailing folks and seeing to get out about my life story and about the things I've been through, and just how to deal with childhood traumas and things like that. It's called Tattoos of a Worshiper. That will be coming out soon. I'm not charging anyone. If you would like a copy of that, I will email that to you once it's completely done. But it's just to help us heal. Black people don't like going to therapists. Let's be real. We don't like
Fact.
We don't believe in going to no doctor. Look, we don't believe in going to no therapy. I ain't paying no money to tell nobody my business, and but believe it or not, it really, really helps to it helps to get that out of you, to talk about what happened. Because what happens is we try to self-heal, and that's what causes more trauma. So that talks about what has happened in my life, and some of it is rough to read. However, it helped me cope with the things I've been through. Really, that's all I have coming up. My organization, we're still, like I said, I'm pregnant right now, so it's not too much community service things we can do right now because we're all kind of taking a break. But we still support our Black entrepreneurs here in Roxborough. The Juneteenth Entrepreneur Fair is Saturday, I do believe. So that's something that if you're interested in, please go check that out, of our local Black entrepreneurs here in Roxborough. Support. And, if you ever have any questions or ever have, and let me tell y'all something. I have people message me all the time and call me and say, Danielle, what do I do about this? Or do you know anything about this? And sometimes I don't know the answer. So I call the right people who do have the answer and give them the right answer, or that give them the resources to what they know, but my message now is let's try to bridge the gap. Let's try to figure out how we can get along with police, how we can get along with everybody, because really the best way to be is for us to mend together. Let's be unified. We can't do this thing separate. We can't do this thing separate. So that's all I have. Thank you all so much for having me on here. It was an honor to be asked to do this. It really was. Out of all the interviews I've done, it's probably been the best one. So
Oh, snap.
Thank you.
Y'all hear that? Y'all hear that? So since she said that, please make sure to like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube. We post videos every week. We've been going live a lot more lately, so you can catch us. If we go live, you can catch us on Wednesdays at 9:30. If we don't go live, it's recorded and we post on Thursdays. And we're also available on most audio platforms as well. So Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeart, etc., etc. So we appreciate you so much, Danielle, for coming. We're definitely gonna have to have you back. And it's just nice to have open, honest conversation and nobody judging. That's what I like.
Right.
So that's what we all about. So if anybody else want to come on or think they have something, they are part of a movement or, part of an organization that's about change, please hit us up at occasionallypods@gmail.com.
Or even if you're not about change, I would like to talk to you too.
Hello, let's talk to the
that
opposition
part.
lady.
If we can get the other side, we'll take that too. We might have to take a little drink, but we'll take it. But thank you so much. Danielle, don't go yet, but we are going to go off Facebook. So thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.